our work rather than nowadays it's kind of we are doing traditional PR or we are doing those things are just something not very special.
Yeah, and for these young employees, and time management is also one key thing. And you don't have to.
In PR agency, it's really, really interesting because everybody comes to agency maybe at 9 to 10, and actually everybody do the Weibo at very beginning, first hours.
So Sina is to blame.
Yeah, and then it's the lunch break, and in the afternoon everybody is a bit sleepy, and in 4 or 5 o'clock, some of the people actually started working. So that is kind of not very...
So why don't you just start work at 2 o'clock in the afternoon then?
Yeah, and then you can say, but actually sometimes if you send all those kind of things, you have to wait for the responses from the client.
Right.
So that is another thing, yeah.
Well, let's take another break. We'll continue our discussion after that. You're watching Crossover. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Crossover. Today we're talking about the case that happened in one of the PR companies in Beijing. A young employee died very young, only 24-year-old, and we're talking about whether this is really a case caused by these overworkload or long working hours. But Stella, what have you got to say to these, say, young employees, your young colleagues in your company after this? Since they were not really responding, they were too busy. But what would you have to say?
Yeah, so I think health is the most important thing to young guys or to anyone. So really, you have to value your health. You have to put it in the first priority. So if so that's the advice I gave to my colleagues, the young colleagues. I tell them that, okay, if you don't feel well, yeah, you have to leave work, no matter what. The clients, they are happy or not. If you cannot deliver it, then just let them know we cannot deliver.
You can actually put a stop to that, right? I mean, anything, there is always a solution to it, an alternative to it, and doesn't really matter whether the clients are pushing you.
Yeah, actually some of the requests should be more reasonable. You know, sometimes we were angry now because of the requests themselves or the way they proposed the request. Or, for instance, when you are doing a campaign at the very beginning, you have to propose some ideas that actually clients really don't know what do they want, and they're just give you a very, very big perspective.
Because they paid the bill.
Yeah, they paid the bill, and they say, come up with some ideas that we like. And they didn't say what kind of idea they like. And then it's kind of, we are doing all those brainstorms.
But isn't it the nature of PR world? I mean,
but you have to be more communicative.
You're doing services.
I think it's strategic partnership.
All right. But somehow that seems to be a norm in all these corporate world. Not only in PR, it seems
accounting firms.
Not only in accounting firms, but
law.
Even for all these young generation, these young people, sub-health is a key killer, actually. Sometimes it's only because, I mean, we might be facing all these pressure from different directions, but at the same time, because we just take it for granted, okay? We're still young, so maybe that's no big deal.
And another thing is peer pressure, because all of the fellow youngsters, young colleagues are working this hard, and you are going away to find a balance of life. No, you are not going to grow. So
only middle-aged guys, they need life and work balance.
I need to consider that part myself. But there is a term, I don't know the English term, but there seems to be a Japanese English term. It's called karoshi. So basically, that's something that we're talking about.
Overworking death.
Overworking death. But what are the areas in your understanding where we might see lots of these, karoshi or over workload death or whatever that might be? What are the areas, the cases might more likely happen?
I think...
media.
Media.
IT industry.
IT industry.
And investment bankers. They have to monitor the stock exchange
so
almost every day.
What's the commonality? What's in common?
I think changing really fast, growing dramatically, and sometimes deliverables are really, really needs higher standards of delivery. So
deadlines.
Deadlines.
Yeah. If you are a researcher, you don't have a deadline, then you don't need to work, too much.
But, I mean, are we talking about all these areas? I mean, different industries. It seems
I think they share the same thing.
There isn't a haven in this world where you don't really feel any pressure.
Yeah, for instance, if a reporter just finished an event by the PR